that. So that'll be volume number 4. And how far are we in yours? You don't like, you've got quite a few more pages to go, don't you? All right. Well, we're going to I'm trying to cover as much territory as I can, but not miss anything. Because I don't want, there's too much gold and jewels and pearls and precious stones and diamonds in the book of Genesis, as you will not see in English translation in any way. 30 and verse 3. Watomer, Hine, Amati, Belha, Bu, Eliha, Wateleda, Al, Birke, We Bana, Dom, Anoki, Memena. All right. Here we are, right exactly where we were in the movie, when we watched the movie a few moments ago. So now you've got an idea of everything that's going on. You can see it visually in your mind. And she kept on saying, "Behold, my maidservant, Bilhah." Remember what Bilhah means? Bilhah. Bilhah. Come on, what does Bilhah mean? Soft and tender. She was probably a very, very delicate, soft, beautifully tender woman. She is the oldest of the girls. She's the oldest one. Let me tell you a little bit of... I'll get over here. When Jacob and Rachel were engaged, Rachel was anywhere from 10 to 14 years old. Okay, in that deal. She looked pretty young up there. They had her pretty good. She looked young. She was. Her sister was a few years older than she was. Leah, which means, remember what her name means? Rachel was ewe lamb, okay? And then Leah is what? Huh? Well, probably blue eyes. She probably had beautiful blue eyes, okay? Which means weak or gentle, all right? Or impatient, soft. She's born about 1730 BC. Okay, 1730 BC. Now remember, BC is the opposite of AD. The further you go back, like 17, 1800, 1900, that's further back. Okay? So Leah was born about 1730. Rachel was born somewhere around 1727, 1729, earlier. Probably 2 years between children at least, okay? Jacob was born about 1770 to 1790 BC. Now he's 40 plus years old, you know, when he's engaged to Rachel, okay? And Bilhah is she's about 1753 BC. So she's the oldest one. Now, remember when I'm giving you these dates, these are just guesstimations, okay? And then Leah's about 22 years old when she gets married to him, all right? Now let's go back to 30 and verse 3. And she said, "Behold my maidservant, my maid slave, my female slave, Bilhah," which means soft or tender. She's the oldest girl. And I want you to go in there and penetrate her, is what it literally says, and consummate a marriage with her. I want you to go into her. Hebrew is extremely sexual and very plain in their language, as you can see on the screen. It was very plain. That's what they did. Okay? Go in unto her, that she may catch seed and bear. All right? Third person feminine, cal, juice, even meaning. Upon my knees. In other words, she will have a child, but I will be raised upon my knees. She'll be my child. I will own the child. Okay? It's not going to be Bilhah's child, but it'll be my child. And let me be built. Look at that. According to a pattern. Isn't that? Remember what son means? According to a pattern. So let this child be built according to a pattern. First person construct, Nephal, cohortive in meaning. Banah, that's the root of it. Also, Gam is also. And I from her. All right? And I from her. And I forgot my Amplified Bible tonight. Does anyone have your Amplified Bible with you? Anybody have an Amplified Bible? And Cindy is not here, so she doesn't. There's that sweet girl right there. All right. You ought to have someone. Randall, did you bring anything? Oh, you brought one too. All right. Even a big one too. All right, 30 and verse 4 now. Can you read that for me? Can you possibly do that? Or 30 and verse 4? Up here? Or do you want me to have this pretty girl come up here? Huh? Huh? Okay. Chris, do you want to come up here and read that so we can get it on the video? I mean, 30 and verse 3. Okay, just 30 and verse 3 for now. Yeah. We could wait till 30 and verse 4 if you want to. Okay. 30 and verse 3. We got to get the setting. All right.
And she said, "See here, take my maid Bilhah and have intercourse with her, and when the baby comes, she shall deliver it upon my knees, and I by her may also have children."
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. The Amplified Bible is a pretty good explanation of what it is. It's pretty plain. We, with our Western sense of mind, is this adverse to all these things, but this is just it. And when you go back to Hebrew, you go back to the Eastern mind. You have to throw your ideas away and just say, this is it. Okay? What titin? Lo, et, bilha, shif, chata, liisha, wayabu, ilaha, Yaakov. All right. Now remember, Jacob loved whom? Rachel. He didn't want anybody but Rachel. Okay? That's the only woman he wanted. But here he is. He's stuck with 4 wives now. And they're all fighting over him. We're going to see all kinds of fighting going on tonight in this class. This is a cat fight. So all of this class is going to be a cat fight. Okay? The other day, I have an old 44-year-old horse. Harry knows that horse. Her name's Star. And the pasture's growing up out there. You've heard this one before. I think you're the only one. And I went down the street there, and the guy has a bunch of llamas. Well, he has one very, very gentle llama. I named him Charlie because he doesn't say much either. My grandpa Charlie, he didn't say much. He's Cherokee Indian. I heard him say about 20 words in his life. And my mother, I don't think she heard over 25 in her life with him. Anyway, we brought Charlie. We looked down there, and I said, "Is this pasture all right for him? Do you think he'll stay in there and everything else? It'll be safe for him. He won't get out or whatever, you know." Charlie's pretty good size. Well, yeah, so we went down and got Charlie, and Star was way like 250, 300 yards from the front of the place to the back of it. We got Charlie out of the horse trailer. You can do anything with Charlie. Charlie just minds real good. He's just, and he's a camel, you know, a camel family. That's what he is. The face just looks like a camel. He'll get out there and go like this, and his lips will just go. I don't know what it's like. And real gentle in character. Anyway, we got him out there, and we brought him into the front, and he walks out there like this, and then meanwhile, Star's in the back. And Star starts blowing her nose, just blowing. You know, I mean, just snorting, and she's old. You know, the guy just before that, we were down there earlier, and he said, "Why don't you put that old horse down? She can hardly walk." I said, "Well, she's still eating, and she's still having fun, and my daughter loves her." And, you know, I said, I need something to eat the pasture. I'll just let her stay until she can't get down, can't get up, then we'll have to do something. Well, Star run into Anastasia. the resurrection. Star became 1 year old again. She started trotting, walking fast, dragging her leg to begin with, and then she started trotting, and then she started pacing, just tearing the ground up. And then she started loping, and then she started running and snorting and blowing and going on. It was just like a whirlwind around there. I mean, dust was flying everywhere from this 44-year-old horse. Having a fit, blowing and snorting. Finally, I said, well, we better take him a little closer because she got to find that he's not a 5,000-pound grizzly bear. You know, I mean, he smells. You know, camels smell, and so do llamas. Well, anyway, I went and took him into there's 3 pastures. Like this. Well, she's back here. He's way out here. Hundreds of yards from here. And she's over here when that's all starts taking place. Okay? So I take him, and I take him in here to this pasture. And, of course, there's a gate here and a gate here. And she's just tearing the ground up, just blowing and going and sweat's just pouring off of her. And I said, well, she's going into shock. She's driving herself plumb nuts, you know. And I said, I don't know that she's going to live. We may have to load him back up. She's too excited. Well, I got her over there. Finally, I drug her over there. And she's blowing. She blows snot all over me. I mean, I'm covered with snot. She's just blowing and blowing, blowing and blowing and blowing and snorting and stomping and legs going everywhere like she's got 20 legs. Well, finally get her up there and she blows all over him, just blows snot all over him. That Charlie's just sitting there looking like this, blinking his eyes and not doing anything, just standing there. Finally, I finally decide that I've got to take her and put her in the back so she can't see Charlie because she's going to kill herself. So I took her and put her out there in the back. She won't eat, she won't drink, and her head is right toward Charlie. She can't see him, but her head is right there. All right? Looking that direction all night long. I can't get her to drink, so I give her electrolytes. I try to put water in her mouth and everything else. And the next morning I take her out there bright and early, about 5 o'clock in the morning. I go to see if she's still alive. She is. I don't know how she's alive, but she's alive. 44 years old, acting like a colt. So I drag her out there. She's dragging all 4 feet, just dragging them on the ground because she's about killed herself. And then she stands there and just blows. Just blows and blows and blows. So I just took her and walked her back in the back and tried to get her to eat, which she wouldn't eat. Tried to put her head in the water trough, but she wouldn't do it. I said, well, you're done for, girl. Anyway, I went out there, and then that night, I decided, well, maybe she'll get used to him in the middle of the night. So I went out there, and after 10 o'clock at night, I'd been over at Randall's that night. I go back home, and I go drag Star out there. She's just barely dragging, and I put her out there, and she's just looking like this, blinking her eyes. And she sees that llama over there, and she won't take her eyes off him, but she's not moving. She's not going no place. She's just standing there looking. I couldn't get her to eat, couldn't get her to drink. Next morning, I go out there, and she's standing out there with Charlie, and when I try to feed her, she won't leave Charlie to come and eat her food. Now she's in love. But she tries to kill herself for. All right? That's a female for you. We're in these cat fights now tonight. Let's look at these women now. We got 4 women in love with the same man. Okay? 4 women in love with the same man. And she kept on giving to him Bilhah. This didn't happen once. She's wearing poor old Jacob out. She just keeps on giving her. Here, come on, Jacob. Here, Jacob. Come here, Jacob. She keeps on giving her to him, Bilhah, her female slave, for a wife. All right? Li-isha. What does isha mean? What does isha mean? Remember? What? Out of man. That's right. Ish is man, and isha is woman out of man. All right? Now, this is his wife. God created man, and he said he wasn't happy, so he put him to sleep in a great hypnotic trance. It's hypnose. That's the word hypnose in Greek. He put him in a hypnotic trance. He hypnotized Adam, and he took from his sides, plural, not singular, plural sides, all of his sides, and he made woman out of man. And here we have, and that's the word for wife also. It's the word for woman, and it's the word for wife. Yaakov. All right. Yaakov. All right. And he came unto her. In other words, he had intercourse with her again. Jacob. And 30 and verse 5 now. Why Tahar, Bilhah, Wataled, Li Yaakov, Ben. All right. And she caught seed and kept seed. That's what it literally means. She caught seed and kept seed. All right, Bilhah. Remember, she's the oldest woman. Of all of them, she's the oldest one. Yeah, they're not old women, by the way. These are young women. They're young. They're 40 years younger than Jacob. You know, I mean, all of them are pretty young. And she conceived Bilhah, and she bore. She birthed. Birthed is the word Yilad. See that word Yilad? Down there, Yilad, 408 and 411 in the two lexicons. By the way, I brought a Gesenius lexicon, a Davidson lexicon, and Brown Driver and Briggs lexicon tonight. All three Hebrew lexicons. You'll find out why in a few minutes, maybe. All right. Now, she conceived and brought forth a son. And, young lady, can I get you to get up here and read again in a couple of minutes? I'll let you fire that thing up. 30 and verse 6. 30 and verse 6. Watamar, Rachel, Danani, Elohim, Wigam, Shammah, Bekolai, Wayatin, Le, Ben, Al, Can, Kariah, Shemuel, Don. Okay. And Rachel kept on saying. Rachel kept on saying, third person feminine, singular, kal, wow, consecutive, and perfect. That comes from Omer. That word watomer there. Now, the tau in the middle of that tau, that tells you it's feminine. Okay? Watomer. And she kept on saying Rachel. What does Rachel mean? You lamb. You lamb. All right. He has judged me. Third person masculine singular, kal, perfect. All right. Third person masculine singular, kal, perfect. But it has a suffix which is first person construct singular. He has judged me, and it's talking about God, Jehovah. Okay. Elohim. And Elohim means what? Elohim. Elohim. What does Elohim mean? It's Eim in the middle of it. At the end of it means what, Brother Roger? Remember? Eim is plural. Plural. In Hebrew, there's singular, dual, and plural. In Greek, there's singular, dual, and plural. This is a plural word which means three or more. So this is the Godhead. Now, by the way, we don't worship three gods. We worship one God, but He's three in one. That's what we call triune God. Some people that believe in the Trinity get to believing in three gods. That's not right either. It's a triune God. The only God you're ever going to see is God the Son. All right? The only God you're ever going to feel is the Holy Spirit, and the only God you'll ever understand is the Father. That's one of my teachers said that. I didn't originate that. J. Lewis Guthrie. Elohim, the three powerful ones, are the triune God, the Godhead, so to speak. And also, He has listened. See the word Shammah there. Shammah. He has listened. He has listened. Third person masculine singular, kal, perfect. To my voice, be kali. To my voice. To my calling. And it's very close. All right? To my voice, it is bikali here in Hebrew, not in Hebrew, but in Greek, it's kalio, which means to call. All right? Somewhat close to it. Y10, and he has given. Third person masculine singular, cal, while consecutive and perfect. He has kept on giving to me a son. According to a pattern, therefore, because of this, that's what all can means, because of this, she called his name Judge. 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 Dan. Now Dan is masculine, okay? Dinah, that's the feminine name for judge, okay? Or the feminine name for Dan. Dinah. All right, young lady. Chris, do you want to come up here with that and read from 30 and verse 4 through 6? 30 and verse 4 through 6. 34 through 6.
And she gave him Bilhah, her maid, as a secondary wife, and Jacob had intercourse with her. And Bilhah became pregnant and bore Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God has judged and vindicated me, and has heard my plea, and has given me a son. So she named him Dan, judged.
Thank you. All right, 30 and verse 7 now. 30 and verse 7. Watahar, Od, Wataled, Bilhah, Shephat, Rachel. All right, Ben, Shani, Lee, Yaakov. All right. Now Bilhah has Dan and Naphtali, doesn't she? And she kept the seed. She received the seed, but she kept the seed. It didn't fall out. It didn't go away. She held on to the seed. All right? In other words, she got pregnant. Again. And she birthed, and it was not an abortion. This word here is third person feminine singular, cal, while consecutive, imperfect. In other words, she gave birth, and it was a living child. All right? It was a living child. It didn't die. It wasn't too early or too late or whatever. That was a born son. And in Greek, what is the word for born child? In Greek, for born son. Our word technology comes from it. Technos. Technos is born son. All right? That's a live birth. Okay? That's what it means, literally. There are several words. There's napios, brephos, huios, and technon, and paidion in Greek. They got one for everything. Paidion, that's a spanking child. That's one big enough to give a good whooping to. A brephos is one that's briefly born and even can be called an embryo. All right? And huios, of course, is the heir. That's the heir. And Bilhah, tender, soft. Her female slave, Rachel, lamb, ewe lamb, a son, second, Shanae, to Jacob. All right? To Jacob. 30 and verse 8 now. 30 and verse 8. These women are fighting over this man. They're all wanting to have more kids than the other one. They're having a race. They're having a race with this man. I mean, who can catch the most seed and produce the most children, all right? Because God likes us more than the other one. That's it. That's the whole story. They're fighting. This man is just being wore out with these women. You know where he stays? He doesn't stay at home. Well, when he stays at home, he stays with Rachel because that's his love. As simple as that. But even she tests his patience. So he sleeps out with the cows and the sheep. But he comes in. All right? What Tamar, Rachel? Naphtali, Elohim. Naphthaliti, Ochate, Gam, Yakolete, Watikra, Shemo, Naphtali. Okay. And Rachel is standing on a street corner out there hiring everybody else. And she kept on saying that. She's proud of this. Rachel's getting out there where everybody can hear now. These women they keep on saying, this is a continuous thing. Third person, feminine, singular, cow, while consecutive, and perfect. What tomorrow? And she kept on saying, Rachel, struggling, wrestling, of struggles. Elohim, I have struggled with. Now she struggled with Elohim. Now remember, Jacob did struggle with Jehovah, didn't he? Jacob struggled with Jehovah, and he contended, and he wouldn't turn loose of him. He had to use supernatural powers. In his physical form, he was not stronger than Jacob, because Jacob is a big man. As you can see in the movie, they had a pretty good proportion. The man was big and strong. That big rock that he moved, that great big stone he moved in, and those guys said, whoa, we're afraid of him. Like that. He's tough. He's big, strong. He's been a sheep herder and a cattleman all his life. He was a breadwinner at home until he had to leave because of Esau, old Red. By the way, as you will see Rebecca. Rebecca probably had red hair. She was a beautiful redhead, okay? And, of course, Esau, when he was born, he had her hair. His name was Red, all right? Red and hairy. I have struggled with Elohim with my sister, all right, also. And I have prevailed. I have won. I have won. First person construct, singular, cow, perfect. And she called, and she kept on calling the name to him Naphtali, which means struggle, fight, and battle. Struggle, fight, and battle. What a story, isn't it? We're just getting into it, people. Watare. Leah, Ki, Amidah. Leah's involved now. Melidet, Wat Tikra, Et Zilpah, Shifa Chata, Wat Titen, Ota, Li Yaakov, Li Ishsha. And she saw Leah. Now Leah means impatient. It also can mean weak. Well, what it means is weak eyes, but what it means is when men see her, they become weak because of the beauty of her eyes. Okay? Because her beautiful blue eyes and probably dark complexion. She is very strikingly beautiful. But her sister outshines her because she's beautiful in every way. Okay? That she had ceased. Third person, feminine, singular, cow, perfect. She has ceased to bring forth children, to catch births and, seed and have children. And she took Zilpah, her female slave. All right, Zilpah. Remember what Zilpah means? Oh, this is quite a name now. You're going to laugh about this one. Her name means sprinkling, dripping, or loose bowels. That's what her name means. It's right there in the lexicons, okay? That's her. All right? Not very... They named these people really funny, didn't they? Evidently, this girl must have had some kind of a problem for them to call her all of this. Sprinkling, dripping, loose bowels. Her female slave. And she gave her to Jacob for a wife. All right? So now he's got 4 wives. He's consummated marriage with 4 women. Okay? 4 women. Wataled, Zilpah, Shefchat, Leah, Laakov, Ben. All right. And she brought forth, or birthed, it comes from Yelad. She brought forth and birthed and kept on, this child was a live birth, the teknon, okay, Zilpah. Zilpah. And the female slave of Leah. To Jacob a son. All right? To Jacob a son. 30 and verse 11 now. 30 and verse 11. And she said, Leah. Watomar, Leah. Begad. Watikra. Et. Shemo. God. And she kept on saying Leah. Now Leah's on the street corner. Can you just see all of this? Now that you've seen all these people on screen about like what they look like. Who's the oldest girl? Bilhah. All right? Bilhah. She's the oldest one. And now we have Zilpah, which means dripping or sprinkling or loose bowels. Yes. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you looking at that. All right. And Leah stood on the street corner up on the top of a rock and kept on shouting out, with fortune, begod. That means with fortune. With fortune. With fortune. And she called, look at the sign of the direct object there, et. She called the name Gad. She called his name Gad, which means fortune. Fortune. She has got our band or fortune, which means that she's got a whole bunch of kids now. Leah's got a lot of kids, and she's outrun her sister and her kids. I mean, boy, God loves me. He likes me a lot better than He does you, okay? What to lead? Zilpah. Shaphat. Leah. Ben. Sheneh. Li Yaakov. All right. And she bore Zilpah, the female slave, Leah, a son, the second to Jacob. Now here's her second child to him. Poor old Jacob, boy, and he's putting up with all this. Isn't it nice just to have one wife, brother? Eunice, isn't that nice? I mean, that's more than a man can handle. Yeah, boy, I tell you what, the Muslims, the Muslims, you in America, they had a wall-eyed conniption fit about Joseph Smith, which was he's a heretic. He's a godless man, and that's it. They believe they're God. These Mormons think they're God. Basically, they may as well be atheists as far as that goes. They may as well be, they're Antichrist. They are. They're Antichrist. All right. Anyway, for 100 years they griped about the Mormon church, the Mormons, and over there in Utah and Nevada and different places, they tried to make Nevada a separate nation. Okay? And Utah was a separate nation as far as they were concerned. They didn't want to be part of this country. They were going to have their own country. But they got brought into the Union anyway. Got brought into the Union anyway. But they griped all these years because they had plural wives, what they call polygamy. But now in America we have the Muslims from India, which are a different kind of Muslims, and we got the Arab Muslims. And I can guarantee you, when you see those women walking down the street with a man, there's 3 or 4 women about the same age with a whole bunch of kids. You know what they are, don't you? That's all his wives. The Indians and the Arabs, both. Both. The Indians and the Arabs, plural wives. They can have up to 5 wives, in Muslims. That's what the recommended number. Because women fight too much if you only have 4. And that's where they get it, right here. This is where they get it, right here. This has got 4 women and they're fighting too much. You get one more and the scales are imbalanced, you know. That's an odd number, you know, 2 and 2. But this is 5 now. You need to have 5 wives. I think 1's fine. All right, 1 is fine. Now here we are. And births Zilpah the female slave Leah a son, the second to Jacob. Now let's look at 30 and verse 13. Mine is all messed up here, so I have to take a page out of the way. Watamar, Leah, Be Asheri, Ki, Ish Sharuni, Benot, Vitigra, Et, Shemo, Asher. All right. And now we have Leah standing on the street corner up on the tall rock, and she's propagating her story. And she kept on saying, Leah, in happiness, be Ashereh. Asher means happy. All right. In happiness, because they shall call me happy. All of the daughters. Oh boy. All of the daughters. All the women shall call me happy. And she called the name to him Asher, which means happy. Okay. Now we get into another triangle here, another real problem. Wayelek, Reuben, Bemeh, Getzer, Hittim, Wayip, Yitzsah, Dudanim, Basadeh, Wayebe, Otam, El Leah, Imo, Watamar, Rachel, El Leah, Tanei, Na, Li, Medudi, Benek. And walked and went Reuben in days of harvest of the wheat hit him. And he kept on finding Dudaim. In Greek, that's Mondragon. All right? Mondragon. We had a lot of my students one time were Mondragons. That's the word in Greek. Okay? Mondragon. It's Dudaim. And some of the translations, it calls them love apples. Okay? This is an aphrodisiac. This boy goes out in the fields and he finds this wild aphrodisiac, which is in Greek called a mondragon, and in Hebrew is called a dudaim. And what it means to cause passion to boil. The Lexicons will call it an ancient Spanish fly, an aphrodisiac. It means a boiler basket. What it means to boil. Okay, it means to heat up passions and desire. Brown, Driver, and Briggs on page 147. Gesenius on page 191. Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 5. Brother Eunice, would you look to Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 5 and come right up here and read that for me, please? Here we have another aphrodisiac over there. In Ecclesiastes, that's right out Proverbs and then Ecclesiastes. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. And yours is the New American Standard, isn't it? Yeah. That should read pretty good. Come right up here. 12 and verse 5. Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 5. Just come right up here. Talk right into that microphone. All right?
Dig a hole through the wall
That's Ezekiel, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, Ecclesiastes, Psalms, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes. There's Proverbs right there. Just keep on going. Right after, almost right there, Ecclesiastes. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes.
Sure.
Right there.
Right there.
12, the last chapter. Right over there above the last chapter.
And verse...
Let's see, 12. 12 and verse 5.
Verse 5.
Uh-huh.
Furthermore, men are afraid of a high place and of terrors on the road. The almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper drags himself along, and the caperberry is ineffective. For a man goes to his eternal home while mourning goes about in the street.
All right, while the mourners go about in the street. The caperberry. There's another aphrodisiac. This caperberry. It's Capparis spinosa. Capparis spinosa. That's the Latin term for it. Capparis spinosa. In the Bible, it talks about these aphrodisiacs. Over here, we got love apples. Over here, mondragons, or whatever you want to call them. This fruit over here in the book of Genesis, and over here in Ecclesiastes, we have a caperberry. It's Capparis in the Greek, which comes right out of it. How many of you ever had capers? Capers? That's what that is. This is capers. At one time, capers were an aphrodisiac. A caper is in the family of the cabbage family. It's a tiny little thing, and a lot of times when you have that stuff that you put with fish, what do you call that? Tartar sauce. Tartar sauce will have capers in it. All right? And that at one time was considered a very strong aphrodisiac. And over there in the book of Ecclesiastes, what it says, that when a man gets old, even aphrodisiacs don't work. Aphrodisiacs would raise your sexual appetite and your appetite, period. Make you want to eat. David, they gave him caperberries. They gave him love apples. They did everything. Israel loved Jacob. I mean, not Jacob, but David. They even got a beautiful young virgin and put her in bed with him. David liked women. Maybe that'll wake him up, but nothing happened. He just laid there. He was too far gone. The caperberry didn't have effect. The love apples didn't work. He was too far gone. He's like a grasshopper dragging himself along. Barely dragging himself along. Okay, let us go and look at this some more now. And while he was walking about, Reuben, in the days of harvest of wheat, he found these aphrodisiacs. Okay, these aphrodisiacs. Now, mankind has used all kinds of aphrodisiacs. Duty, atropha, mantragara, belladonna. 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 What's belladonna? It's a heart medication, yeah. What does it do? Belladonna, one time, they would give belladonna to women. It would make their eyes, their pupils big. It made them really look sexy. All right? I mean, all this stuff is in the Bible. I mean to tell you, this weird stuff. This is a human race, okay? All right? Make their eyes look sexy. They call it Satan's apple. These apples that he's found, these love apples, are called belladonna. Satan's apple, the apple of Sodom, crazy apple. It was a strong-smelling, odorous plant. Atropine alkaloids. Ginseng. We all hear all this kind of stuff. You hear it on television every day now. I mean, all the stuff to make you feel young and get all your virility back in you and everything. But this is what was going on back then. Okay, this is what they used back in these girls' days. And the girls were trying to find these things. It wasn't the man. I'm telling you. It was the girls. These ancient aphrodisiacs were cola, chocolate, ginseng, carrots, radishes, horseradishes, pomegranates. belladonna. Remember, Marilyn, what your mother picked out there that time on your farm out there? There was nightshade, wasn't it? And the nightshades have a little purple berry on them. Nightshade's poison. At one time, tomatoes were known as aphrodisiacs. Tomatoes. And a potato is a nightshade also. That's a nightshade plant. By the way, if you get a potato that's green, you probably shouldn't eat it, because they can make you very sick, because it is a nightshade. And if a potato is not ripe, it can make you sick. How many of you knew that? Radishes, pomegranates. Many people think that the fruit of the forbidden fruit was pomegranates. That's one of the oldest fruit in the world. And pomegranates, with all the seeds in it, thought that would make a man very virile. So that was one of the things that they did. Huh? Or hot. Radishes are hot. Horseradish is hot. Okay? See, that heats you up. Okay? And we talked about capers a while ago. See, you missed out. You missed out when you run off and left me. Capers. What?
Mine says something about mandrakes.
Yes, mandrakes. That is the love apples. Mondragon. Remember the word mondragon? Mandrakes. Mondragon. That's what it means. That's where the word mondragon comes from. It was an aphrodisiac. So all of these are aphrodisiacs, and they used them in the Bible, and they were very, very valuable. But all this stuff has been used. Even capers. So when you're eating tartar sauce, it's got capers in it. So that capers were actually, and they're related to the cabbage family, and they were at one time considered a aphrodisiac. So now the girls are wrestling over aphrodisiacs. In the field, and he brought them unto Leah, his mother. And she said, and she kept on saying, aha, Rachel, unto Leah, give me, I beg you, those aphrodisiacs that your son has brought in. Give me, I beg you, those aphrodisiacs that your son has brought in. Here we are, wrestling over the aphrodisiacs. Now, we've gone through several verses. What did Chris, do you have that there in the Amplified? Can you come up here real quick and read up to where we are? 30 and verse 14. Let's read the last few verses that we missed, okay? Where did we stop the last time? 11? 11, I think, is where 11, 30, 11 through 14.
Okay. Then Leah said, victory and good fortune have come, and she named him God Fortune. Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Jacob her second son. And Leah said, I am happy, for women will call me blessed, happy, fortunate to be envied. And she named him Asher, happy. Now Reuben went out at the time of wheat harvest and found some mandrakes, love apples, in the field, and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray you, some of your son's mandrakes.
All right, so she wants these aphrodisiacs. She wants aphrodisiacs to make herself more appealing and to make her husband desire her. They're wrestling all the time over their husband. Okay? Now, in German, it's Liebesfel. Liebesfel. In Greek, it's mandragoras. All right? That's what this thing is called. An ancient aphrodisiac. Gesenius on page 191. Brown, Driver, and Briggs. Find it. Page 188. By the word caperberry there in Ecclesiastes 12 and 5. It is ha'aviona. 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 And that's the word capers, where the word capers comes from. The word capers. And that's on page 3 in Brown, Driver, and Briggs, and on page 5 and 6 in Gesenius. All right, 30 and verse 15. 30 and verse 15. Watamar, Leah, Hamot, that is, Kachek, Et, Ishi, We La Chat, Gam, Et, Dude, Bene, Watomer, Rachel, Lakan, Yishkov, Imach, Halayla, Tachat, Dude, Benek. All right. And now we have Leah sounding off, standing on the street corner, up on a tall rock on her pedestal here. And she kept on saying, the little, you taking my husband. And for taking also love apples, Aphrodisiac, my son, from my son. And she said to Rachel, therefore, or because of this, he shall lie with you this night in return for the Aphrodisiacs that your son found. All right? Here we go. They're hiring their lovers now. Jacob has nothing to do with it, by the way. He's just innocent bystander. They're wrestling over him, okay? They're wrestling over him. Huh?
He doesn't seem innocent to me.
He's out there with the cows, man. And these women are wrestling. He has nothing to do with this. Oh, I tell you. 3:16, 30 and 16. I hired my lover. All right. Wayavo. Yaakov. Men. Hasadeh. Ba'eren. Ba'erev, that is. Watitzi. Leah. Lik Kratov. Watamar. Ile. Tavu. Ki. Sakar. Sakartika. Bedudi. Bene. Wayishkov. Ima. Balila. Hugh. All right. And came in Jacob from the prairie, from the pasture. I told you he's out there, don't know what's going on now. He comes in, all right. Jacob comes in at evening. He probably should have stayed out there. Sometime in the night he comes in, all right. And he went out, Leah, right out. Boy, I mean, she's out there to greet him. Leah runs out to greet him, to meet him, all right. And she keeps on saying unto me, all right, you shall come in, you shall keep on coming into me, because I have hired with Aphrodisiacs, my son found, and he lay with her in the night that. All right, she went out there and she says, I have hired you. I have paid for you now. You come with me, and you come into me. All right? You come into me. 30 and verse 17. Wayishma. Elohim. El Eliah. Watahar. Wataled. Leakov. Ben Hamishi. All right. And he listened to Elohim unto Leah. And she caught seed and kept seed, and she birthed, and brought forth a live birth to Jacob, a son the fifth. She has her fifth child now. All right, she has her fifth child. What translation do you have, Sharon?
I don't have.
Oh, you didn't bring it?
Yeah.
All right. All right. 30 and verse 18. We have to go on a little bit further. We're right in the middle of something here, okay? Is this all right? Okay. Watamar, Leah, Natan, Elohim, Sekari, Asher, Natati, Shifachati, Leisha, Witikra, Shemo, Ishakar. And she said, Leah, He has given me, Elohim, my hire, which I gave my female slave to my husband, and she called the name Issachar. All right, Issachar. It means he will bring a reward. Issachar means he will bring a reward. He will bring a reward. It means a payment of a contract. It means recompense. It means to be worth a person's hire, salary, wages, mistos in Greek. Mistos in Greek. All right. Chris, do you want to come up here and read that real loud for me? Here, the last verse 16 and 17 and 18. 16, 17, and 18. Let's read that out real loud.
And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, You must sleep with me tonight, for I have certainly paid your hire with my son's mandrakes. So he slept with her that night. And God heeded Leah's prayer, and she conceived and bore Jacob her fifth son. Leah said, God has given me my hire, because I have given my maid to my husband. And she called his name Issachar.
All right.
Hired.
Which means hired or payment or reward or wages. All right, let's go 30 and verse 19. 30 and verse 19. Watahar, Od, Leah, Wataled, Ben Shishi, La Yaakov. And she caught seed and kept seed again, Leah. And she birthed a son, the sixth. She birthed a sixth son to Jacob. Number 6 now. Number 6 sons. The God of the little people is what I named it. The God of the little people. God is watching over her because Jacob didn't want her. He wanted one woman. All right? And it just wasn't to be. The one he loved, he ended up with 4 of them. And they were fighting over him. Constant warfare. Constant warfare. And we will go 30 and verse 20, and then we will quit there for today. Watamar, Leah, Zebadani, Elohim, Ote, Zaved, Ton, Hapam, Yizbeline, Ishi, Ki, Yaladate, Lo, Shisha, Banim, Watikra, Et, Shemol, Zebulun. All right. And she kept on saying on her street corner, up on her high rock, on her pulpit now, Leah, He has presented, He has endowed to me, all right, Zevad, that's the root of it. See there, Zevad. He has endowed to me Elohim, and He has presented good the time He shall exalt me, my husband. Now my husband is going to exalt me because I have birthed to him 6 sons according to a pattern. And she called the name Zebulun, which means I am going to enclose, I'm going to capture my husband. He's going to dwell with me. He's going to like me. He's going to like me now because I have borne him 6 sons. 6. 6 is the number of what in the Bible? Man. 6 is the number of man in the Bible. 6 is the number of man. What is the number of perfection in the Bible? 7. We're going to find out this gal has 7 kids. 7 kids. All right, 7 children. Well, thank you for your endurance tonight. Thank you for enduring the cat fight. And I had to show you the beginning of the class on the video there, just a little bit about it, because I thought it would mean more to you when you get into it, because it was accurate. Very accurate. Very accurate. in the people's lives and everything. We'll start out in verse 30 and verse 21 next week, the Lord willing, and spares my life for another week. And this is number 15, the 15th day of the month. Thank you for enduring those hard seats, and I hope that the word of the Lord has blessed you. And all we can see as we've studied the whole book of Genesis so far, that all men are related to Adam, and all women are related to Adam. Even though the woman does not pass on the devilish Adamic nature to the man, there's plenty of it in her. All right.
She got from her father.
Yeah. Well, she got the Adamic nature from her father. But a woman cannot pass on the Adamic nature to her children. She does not. That's why Jesus could be born sinless without the Adamic nature. Because God was his father. The seed of God was in Mary. Mary only passed on form. The woman passes on form. The man, as in Adam, all die. Not as in the woman all die, but as in Adam all die. Does that make you happy, Chris? You don't pass on any Adamic nature to the child. Well, thank you for your attention tonight. Remember the prayer requests that we've had. And Brother Euless, would you lead us in prayer, brother?
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you again for being able to fellowship together and to learn more about you. We just pray, dear Father, that you would help us to understand your word, and that we might serve you in a greater way. We just pray that you would be with Brother Phillips through his doctor visit. We just pray that you would be with each one of us. We pray in Jesus' name.
Amen.